The knock on the Oilers for a significant amount of time has been their inability to win low scoring games, but we saw an excellent example of the Edmonton Oilers being able to win a low scoring game against a very capable opponent on Tuesday night as Edmonton got game winning contributions from some crucial players. I'm going to talk about the game, I'm going to talk about those guys, but before I do, hit the subscribe button. Oilers Digest has been rolling forward, and I want to give a big shout out to my colleague Matt Pierce for all of his work lately. He's been producing video after video on this channel to bring you Oilers coverage daily, so hit that subscribe button and go check out all of the work that Matt does. He does an excellent job on this channel as well. Changing to the game now, last night pitted Tampa Bay and Edmonton against one another, and both teams were coming off of really, really good victories in their previous game. Tampa Bay played really well in Vancouver to win on Sunday, and Edmonton did a good job to hold off the St. Louis Blues on Saturday night. And once the game got started, the first big chance pitted maybe the best player of this decade, the 2020 so far, against probably the best goalie of this decade so far. It's Connor McDavid and Andrei Vasilevskiy, and Vasilevsky's going to get the better of McDavid on this breakaway chance. Don't get me wrong, though, Stuart Skinner wasn't outplayed by the opposite goaltender on the ice last night, and he made two really solid saves to keep the game scoreless after Vasilevskiy made the first big save of the game on McDavid. Edmonton marched down into the Tampa Bay zone after Stuart Skinner managed to lock down the fort, and eventually the puck is going to get cycled to the left point, and that's where Mattias Ekholm blows this slap shot past Vasilevskiy and in. It's a perfect shot, but it doesn't matter ultimately because Tampa Bay would challenge the play, which was deemed to be offside, and yeah, this one really sucks to me because there's no other way to put it other than the entry just didn't impact the play at all. So it stings that it has to come back, but that's the rule. That's where we're at. So Edmonton have to take that in stride and move on, but the Oilers, to their credit, did not take their foot off the gas after having the Ekholm goal come off the board. Vasilevskiy made a couple more really good saves, but eventually the puck gets right back into the hands of Connor McDavid, and McDavid does the rest. He does so well to explode into the space between the two Tampa Bay defensemen, manages to finish it off beautifully, blocker side on Vasilevskiy, and of course, that one is going to count. It makes it 1-0 Edmonton. Stuart Skinner made a great save here on Nick Paul right in tight late in the first period to keep the Oilers up by one. Darnell Nurse had a really good chance here. He gets a great pass, and Vasilevskiy has to make a solid save off him at the side of the net. Mattias Ekholm would have this chance later on that he blows past Vasilevskiy just off target, and then right after the Ekholm chance, Tampa Bay get the puck back into the Edmonton zone, and then the Oilers kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit, and it's Bouchard whose outlet pass just doesn't connect with a teammate. Picked up by Nikita Kucherov, who grabs the puck. Good pass from Kucherov to the middle of the ice, and Jake Gensel pots it. You could see Stuart Skinner move across. He gets most of the save, actually. Gets a chunk of it, but he doesn't get enough. Gensel scores, and it's 1-1. Game's tied, but it wasn't tied for too long because before we get to the goal, let's quickly acknowledge the goal itself, because this was the one that eventually stood up to be the game winner. And the Oilers are ultimately lucky that this goes in if we're going to skip ahead. It's in the net because Vasilevskiy tries to clear the puck away, and he ends up chopping it in off the shin pad of Victor Hedman. So you're looking at this goal and you're saying, okay, well, it's Vasilevskiy who's trying to clear this, hits Hedman and goes in. But there's a lot of credit that a lot of the Edmonton Oilers quite honestly deserve on this play. So let's take a look at it, because there's a lot about this goal I really like. First off, Vasily Podkolzin here, his recovery on this back check is huge. It's huge. It's the back check that breaks up Kucherov and Hedman's counterattack. That was a dangerous chance, but Podkolzin interrupts it. Darnell Nurse picks up the puck and wheels around. It's a sweet feed from Nurse. Great pass up the ice to hit Leon Draisaitl, who's breaking away to the races. Draisaitl moves to the backhand. It's a good save from Vasilevskiy, but consider too for a second what happens here. Draisaitl's in on Vasilevskiy, moves to the backhand. After Vasilevskiy makes the save, he's going to look up in front of him. It's Kasperi Kapanen and Podkolzin both barreling in on goal. They're both ahead of Hedman and Perbix. So if they're not forechecking as hard as they are here, Vasilevskiy is going to be able to play this puck safely, easily, cover it up, do anything else with it. But instead, because of the forecheck and because of the chaos that's happening, he's forced into an error, and it's Hedman trying to catch up, coming back hard, that has to go off him and in. energy and speed on Draisaitl's wings have made the whole second line look really, really solid of late. And if you look at Kapanen and Podkolzin's stats, the numbers on the page aren't necessarily sparkling, but very simply, this trio with Draisaitl in between Kapanen and Podkolzin, they pass the eye test pretty well. Draisaitl's goal makes him the first player in the NHL to hit 20 on the year. From there, a couple Oilers stood out for me after the game was 2-1 Edmonton, and I'll always call a spade, and that includes both the good and the bad. Last night, Stuart Skinner and Darnell Nurse were both very, very good. Edmonton had to protect the 2-1 lead for quite a long time, and it was another Skinner stop off of Nick Paul that was one of his best here. Draisaitl and the second line ended up getting more chances as the second period went on, but Nikita Kucherov had the first chance of the third period, and we've seen him score on this move time and time again. It's called the no move, the no deke. It's where he slides the puck along the ice and allows the goalie to bite on him, faking a deke, and the puck just rolls in through the legs. But Skinner doesn't bite on it, though. He closes the 5-hole well, makes sure he directs it away from danger. A couple Oiler power plays would generate some good chances for Edmonton too. The first one here from Connor McDavid that's stopped by Vasilevsky, but nobody would score throughout the third period. Tampa Bay late on in the third would probably get as close as you can to finding an equalizer with just seconds remaining. Brandon Hagel takes a shot from the slot that's stopped by Skinner. The rebound pops up in the air. Nurse, Skinner, and Nick Paul are all making a play for that puck while it's up, but it's Paul that ends up hitting it with a high stick, so regardless of where the puck ends up, it's not going to count, and the Edmonton Oilers end up winning that game 2-1. Like I said, we had some huge performances. I love this second line. Darnell Nurse and Stuart Skinner played great. Connor McDavid's up to 28 points in his last 14 games, and the Oilers managed to win their 6th game out of their last 7. Skinner, after the game, gave everyone plaudits. He said, quote, "I could go down the list of how many good defensive plays that we made tonight, so I kind of felt like it was that way on both sides. It was just a game of intelligence and smarts, and that's why it was such a tight game." Great win for the Edmonton Oilers, great win for Skinner, and like Skinner said, it was a defensively sound game from Edmonton. That's what ended up winning it for them because, again, Andrei Vasilevsky and the Tampa Bay Lightning aren't an easy team to score on either. Edmonton picks up the 2-1 win. Moving ahead to today, the Edmonton Oilers have made a waiver claim today, picking up Alec Regula from the Bruins. He's fresh off of a knee surgery, and he's looking to make an impact on the Oilers team. He hasn't played yet this season, a professional game, still in recovery from the knee surgery. So this guy was quite good in the AHL last year, and for the Oilers, this ad is to give the bottom four another potential look. Regula is very big. You obviously saw the Josh Brown contract. That was to replace Vinny Desharnais' size on the back end. Josh Brown didn't work out, so it's logical that Regula would be another addition of size on that back end. I think the ad is also going to give the bottom four another potential look. He'll end up joining that group of Travis Dermott, Ty Emberson, and Troy Stetcher, which are now going to be four guys generally used to play in two spots on the bottom pair or fill the fifth and sixth spots on the defense core, whether it's both on the bottom pair or they're spread out a little bit. It's much in the same way that the Emberson acquisition had a lot to do with Knoblauch's familiarity with Emberson. Stan Bowman traded for Alec Regula while he was in Chicago. It also potentially adds Regula as a defenseman to the Bakersfield Condors because they lost Noel Hoffenmeyer last week in a trade to get Jacob Perreault. Edmonton are in Minnesota tomorrow night. That's going to pit the Edmonton Oilers up against the current NHL league leaders. That's before they'll host Vegas in a game that is importantly on Saturday afternoon. It's not Saturday night. It's 2 o'clock local in Edmonton on Saturday. Thank you so much for watching.